to all the dispossessed youth of Africa, for perpetuation of communion with ancestral spirits through the fight for African freedom, and in the firm faith that the dead, the living, and the unborn will unite to build the destroyed shrines. Selah. Hello and welcome, beloveds, to another episode of Wake Up Africa. How you doing, family? How's everything going? First and foremost, I just want to give thanks and praise to Mwene Nyaga, Mwene Hinya, Gaimatuine, if we even say that, to our ancestors. Basically, Mwene Nyaga, that's our God, our creator, all the guardian angels, ancient beings, ascended master, everyone who is working with us at such a time as this. We sat here and we've recorded a certain show. There's a certain message that was given to us and we really wanted to share it. And we recorded it 3 times, beloved. No sound, no sound, no sound. Everything was plugged in. I checked it 2-3 times. It didn't work. And it just reminds me how much, I am not the captain of this ship per se, that I am of service. I really do see myself. I don't even have to see myself. I am a messenger, beloveds. And it's good to be humbled and reminded that it's not every message that I want to share that must be shared, and that there is a team, a spiritual team working behind me for my best interest. And so I just want to honor them today. And, for keeping me safe, for continuously giving me incredible insights into what is happening. Because, beloveds, it was crazy. I've just spent like almost 45 minutes on one story. And it was all about the mandates and what's happening and how we're going to see a particular change of God across Africa, because the people who have bowed down to the New World Order are the rich Africans. But I guess I'm not supposed to go any deeper than that. I've received a lot of questions about spiritual attacks. How should people know if they're facing a spiritual attack? What should I do? How can I be aware? Because one of the things, beloveds, the greatest lie you've ever been told is that ignorance is bliss. That is such a lie. Ignorance leaves you wide open. And what you have to recognize is that all spiritual, psychic, all attacks happen here. And if they can wear you down here, then you will actually start to see it manifesting in your daily reality. Because you see, the way this world works, the way this life works, beloveds, is that we have several possible lifelines that are unfolding in front of us every day based on our decisions, based on our actions. And, it's like you make one yes or no decision and a whole 20 new options come, open up to you. Then you make one option, then 50 new options open up from that one. So it's just like you could have chosen option number 1, you could have chosen option number 12, you could have chosen option number 20. So, and each option that is open to you, many of us just have like 3 or 4 options basically, or 1 or 2, but each option that is open to you will have a totally different lifeline, a totally different outcome, a totally different path and destiny. And what the enemies of our souls try and do is they try and influence at that creation stage the outcomes in our lives. So if someone wants to bind you to them, so in a love spell, they will use magic and mental manipulation and nature, because nature is basically what they do, to kind of try and bind you to them, so that the only narrative you see mentally, if you're not a spiritually strong person, is you and them forever. Or the other thing that people do with love spells is they'll make sure that you don't see any other options. So they'll be constantly looking at, what you're seeing, what you're envisioning, what's coming towards you. Because I said it's always probabilities. And a lot of these people who operate in the dark arts are masters at remote viewing, at astral travel, astral projection, and kind of influencing things at that stage. They're masters at that, and yet they've made us blind to that. So many people, when you talk about that, they're like, "Whoa, wait, what do you mean? I can project myself into someone's dream and make myself look like the Messiah." So there's so much that they do, but they have to engage in so much. It all comes down to manipulation, beloveds. Whether you visit the fetish priest, whether you visit the juju man, whatever recipe they give you, it all comes down to your intention. Like, it's all about the mind. Or you want to finish that person off. So whether they tell you to crack an egg at midnight, walk around in circles, at the heart of the spell will be intentions, your intentions for that thing. And it will all be about, whether it's a death spell or whatever, it will all be about putting your mental energy. So most attacks are mental, they're spiritual. And that's why you have to strengthen here, beloveds. That's why this whole thing is playing out, both individually and collectively. And so how do you know? Because it's all like spiritual and psychic attacks are almost like telepathy. It's almost like someone being so jealous of you and just being like, I hate that person so much. It's like they're sending, those are darts, beloveds, because it's all about energy. Those are darts that are coming to you. And then others will go to actual masters and magicians and get them to influence things. Maybe I'll do something on love spells and the different love spells that people do. It's crazy. So how do you know when a spiritual attack is oncoming? Beloveds, you'll feel it here. You'll feel it here. You'll feel uneasy. Way before, don't be looking for things in the physical, because they try and wear you down. You have a natural defense system, and your natural defense system is how you see yourself. And so for so long, the enemies of our soul, whether it was our parents, whether it was our siblings, whether it was our teachers, the authorities in our lives, they worked. Their main mission was to make us see ourselves incorrectly, because they knew if we saw ourselves incorrectly and we were kind of double-minded, then they could always send spiritual attacks and they could always manipulate our lives, because we'd always be a bit shaky. So the first thing you usually feel is like a fear, a foreboding, like, oh my, just out of place. Sometimes out of nowhere, you'll feel distracted. You'll forget what you were saying. You'll forget conversation. It's because someone has literally come and like interrupted your timeline. And you'll be like, oh my God, what was I just saying? I've totally forgotten. Those kind of things, beloveds. Or sometimes you'll feel confusion. All of a sudden you're confused you're not clear about what action to take, what to do. Sometimes you'll experience, extreme exhaustion and tiredness. On the one side, it's because usually your spiritual team is now going to deal with that, or you spiritually are like, oh, hell no. So you're going to deal with that. So you're not fully here. Or on the other side, they want you to be off balance. Because when you're off balance, that's when they can penetrate. When you're like this, they can't penetrate. But when you're like this, there's some holes they can, So on the other hand, sometimes they'll make you feel tired, make you feel lazy. But beloveds, a lot of the rituals that you're a victim to, or spiritual and psychic attacks that you're a victim to, it's because people are watching your life. They need your information. They just want to throw you off your timeline. You see, there's like a golden timeline that you have, which is the ultimate everything, the ultimate prosperity, the ultimate in terms of your career, the ultimate partner, the ultimate children. There's that one timeline. And that's the timeline that you agreed to. That's the one that you energetically now laid out for yourself, like a railway track. But sometimes because of free will, you've taken yourself off. But usually you'll always return to that main timeline. What the enemies of your soul want you to do, because either they want your money, so they don't want you to be on that timeline because that's the timeline of your prosperity. So if they can get you on another timeline, then they can steal the energy of that prosperity from your timeline. I know it sounds so video games, but I really want as many people to get it as possible. So you can understand how mental it is, how your mental acumen is everything, beloveds. How you think is absolutely everything. Literally, the solution to your illness, the solution to your disease, the solution to your poverty, the solution to your love life or lack thereof is all here. It's all here, beloved. So they push you. Their thing is to push you off their timeline. And some is to push you onto a timeline with them, with the love spells and everything. Some it's to with the spiritual marriages where it's to push you on a timeline where you literally become their spiritual prisoner. And so you're out here, but you're a zombie. Like nothing is really working. And it's because, nothing is flowing in your life because spiritually you're in jail. Spiritually, you're in a dungeon. So physically, your life just looks so boring and like nothing ever happens for you. And it's a constant struggle. It's because you don't have any energy for your own life. Your energy you've been tapped out of your own life and tapped into someone else's life to act as a generator for them. So they'll try and get you off your timeline into like a prison, which is a perpetual timeline where they just feed on you. You're like a caged bird, basically. Or and I mean, they're always trying to just make sure that you're not fully in your lane so that they can take all the goodies that are up ahead for you and either disperse them or use that energy. Because what you have to realize, beloveds, is that the enemy of your soul, literally right now, you're their prisoner. You've been their slave. You were their energetic slave. And because of this great awakening, many of you broke free or are breaking free. Like there's nothing that can stop you breaking free, and you can't go back. I know for some of you, there's some really hard decisions up ahead, but you can't go back. And so now that you're no longer their energetic slave, and you start to recognize the manipulation that's happening in your own physical life, they lose almost 90% of the power they have over you. Then now you can do certain rituals, and I'll explain rituals in the next episode, because rituals has been made to like a bad word, but every church practices rituals. What do you think the Muslims praying five times a day is? It's a ritual. And an exercise too, where they work every muscle in their body. But anyway, the fact that you know and you know about the manipulations already makes those manipulations lose power. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, Africa. Welcome back, beloveds, to is it Wake Up Africa? Ask Dr. Mumbi. I'm not sure, because a lot of people have asked me this question about spiritual attacks, different dimensions of spiritual attacks related to their own personal lives. But how do we know when a spiritual attack is oncoming? What can we do about it? First of all, you'll feel tired. You'll feel lazy, like maybe because they always target you to make sure that you miss your next. Because you see, it's like we're jumping from one box to another, as we go on, as we go on that golden timeline. It's just like it's events and people that take us from from step one to step two. So they try and make you have to take action. Everything is about action. You have to put your energy somewhere so that that energy can multiply, reply, move things around. So they'll either target you by making you feel lazy and lethargic. So you don't feel like doing anything. You don't feel like sending that email that needs to be sent. You don't feel like going to that conference that you need to go to. You won't apply for your passport. You'll push everything till tomorrow. So that's one of the things, because they can't keep anything from you, but they can keep you from it by playing on your lethargy. And the thing is that the laziness comes in with self-confidence, where they'll almost make you feel down about yourself, feel feel like you don't deserve it, or why should you do it, or you just get in a funk. That's how I describe it. And so you don't take the necessary actions that you need to take. Or they'll throw a distraction your way, either through the things you enjoy, either through the people, lower vibrational people, where their drama will make its way into your life. And so those distractions will also now disperse your energy, and the energy that you were supposed to use today to move you from point A to point B, you now shift, share it with friends in their stories, many which don't really matter or have any influence in your life. And so you'll end up going to point C and totally kind of redirecting your path a bit. And then if you're always going to points from point A to point C instead of from point A to point B, that's how you get off your destiny, beloveds. Because you'll keep going to point C and then you can always turn yourself back. But if you keep choosing other people, distractions, delay tactics, then you'll totally end up off your golden path. And the thing that you need to do is to remain on your golden path at all cost. At all costs. So those are some of the things they do, beloveds. And then they'll also attack your confidence. They'll attack you up here where you almost don't feel you're worthy. You don't think you're gonna, just they get you in your feelings, beloveds. Because they totally have like a hold on your emotions, and so they can turn it on, your emotions on and off, just by implanting thoughts. Remember, beloveds, I told you, like we're spiritual beings having a human experience, and many of the enemies of your soul want you to be unaware of what's happening spiritually, so you think it's all you. A lot of your depressive thoughts, a lot of the thoughts that cut you, a lot of that negative self-talk against yourself, those are the spells, those are the psychic attacks. But a lot of them are not yours. You take them on because you hear them in here. But who is saying them? There's so many, is it a little demon that they put in you since you were a child to just tell you you can't do this, you can't do that? That's why we have to move more into living spiritually, not physically, but to seeing. Because you see, if you're spiritually aware and you're cleaning up your life, like you will immediately know when a thought is not your own, when an emotion is not your own, or at least as they're attacking you with that, the spirit will bring in. It's so funny because before I do the show, there's no wind. There's absolutely no wind when I'm doing the show, and then the wind goes crazy when I get here. But anyway, those are stories for other days. But beloveds, there's also, once you're doing the spiritual work and you're raising your vibration, there'll be a counter voice which will show you, nah, that's an attack from the enemy. That's not you. Keep going, So we have to fight those physical things that will make us miss the next step of our destiny. Laziness, self-doubt, lethargy, feeling down. Keep your immunity boosted up because they can also attack your health. I mean, they attack whatever they can attack, beloveds. And just to give you an example, it's like I told you guys, I used to record my show on this particular day every week without fail. That was like my main day, and I'd do a few shows, and then I'd pick another day, during the week to kind of record my show. So the other day, I've totally changed up my as I'm living my best life, I've totally changed up my schedule and everything. So on that particular day, I woke up and all of a sudden, beloveds, I felt depressed. I felt sad, like, oh my gosh, I've made so many sacrifices. Was it all worth it? I mean, seriously, I felt like I was in a funk. I didn't even want to get out of bed. And I was like, wait, this isn't me? What? So, I woke up, took my shower, prepared like a smoothie and some coffee, blah, blah, blah. And I just felt like the next thing I felt was laziness. Like I was just feeling all these emotions. I felt lazy. But the hardest one that was hitting me was me feeling like getting in my feelings about my past. Like, all these images and stories from my past kept coming into my mind. And it was just like, seriously, I was in that funk. It's like someone was continuously just doing the work, sending that to me, beloveds. And I sat there and I was like, so this is what my guardian angels have been warning me about. Like, that's not me. I went to sleep so happy. When I woke up earlier in the morning, I was feeling great. And then all of a sudden, I get out of bed and I'm feeling like, my life is ending. That's not me. So who has access to me like that, and where is that coming from? And a lot of these things, beloveds, they programmed us when we were children so that we'd be susceptible to these kind of mental implants. And that's what many call gang stalking, or just, because people can project thoughts into your mind. And so I sat there and I was like, wow, because I'd recorded the show the previous day and I'd had so much energy. It had been a wonderful experience. And so I sat there and I was just having a personal day and I was like, wow, so this is what manipulation feels like. I felt like I even had to take a nap, beloveds, at 10 a.m., like a couple hours after waking up. I literally found myself taking a nap, and it was just like, and this is why, beloveds, we have to make sure that we're doing the necessary rituals to protect our energy and to protect ourselves, and we're doing the necessary things. Like, I mean, there's so much about the religious psychosis that has messed us up, but there's some rituals they practice about, praying when you wake up, covering yourself when you wake up, whether you're putting yourself in a bubble of protection, whether you're anointing yourself, whether you're sage, whatever ritual you're doing that focuses your energy on protecting yourself, puts your energy around yourself, focuses your attention on you, and protecting you. We have to call in our angels. We have to call in our guardian angels daily, beloveds, daily. For us who are mediums, psychics, prophets, there's been so much spiritual attack and interruption and interception, attempted interception. So I found like I've gone back to lighting candles, beloveds. Why do you think the Catholic Church always has a candle lit? These are all things that call upon spirit. In a candle is every single element, beloveds. Every single element is found in a candle. So that's why people, that's why it's used in a lot of sacred ceremonies. But they'll make you, and there's wicked candle magic and there's positive candle protection, if you want to call it that. But that's why we have to find ways to protect ourselves, to energetically and mentally tell ourselves that. And we have to become so aware of ourselves and know ourselves so well, beloveds, that we know this is not my thought, this is not my intention. We have to know it so well to be that subtle. And you'll see how much attempted manipulation is really going on in your life. And remember, awareness is 90% of the battle. Once you become aware, that whole thing loses its, it's cloak. It's, what is it? Smoke and mirrors. It loses its power over you. I'll do a separate show on rituals, some basic, and remember, rituals, it can look like whatever you want it to look like. But it's about harnessing your energy and the spiritual energy of the spiritual team that is working with you to put extra power behind an intention or a thought or an idea. That's where all this prosperity gospel came from. That's where all these self-help and, positively think yourself into a billionaire kind of thoughts come from, beloveds. Tuko pamoja.